Hi guys, Brian here, back again with another Dungeons & Dragons book that I want to give you my impressions on. This time we're looking at the Monster Manual, which just came out about a week ago for me. Again, the cover is a piece of art that looks pretty interesting, but not in my particular style. I like the art, it's just I don't like the cover of a book being this busy and artful. But it's actually got a cool picture of a beholder, which shamefully I have never actually used as a DM, and I really need to alleviate that. And this guy's face just amuses me. I'll actually pull it up for you. It amuses me more than I should. The side is still plain and nice. I like that side. The back continues the glossy to non-glossy side, and I like that. And there's the back, just in case you want to read it. Alright, so, on the inside here, this book has a vast amount of art in it. Basically, every single creature is drawn. They start off with, this typical of what is this book, how you use this book, what types of environments are there, reading this monster stat blocks, and challenge rating. God damn it. 3rd edition had this concept of a challenge rating, which is basically the concept that every monster is given a challenge rating, and a party of 4 adventurers of that challenge rating, so say a level 1 challenge rating monster, would be a good fight for 4 first level adventurers. It doesn't sound horrible in theory, but in practice that system was horrible, complex, and just annoying to use. It's the reason why I swore off running 3rd edition, is basically challenge ratings. So 4th edition came along and introduced the concept that you had an XP budget. You decided how difficult you wanted the encounter to be. You were then given you then multiplied a number based on the number of players you had, and had an XP budget that you then spent on the monsters. Each monster had its own individual experience cost. You can kind of still do that in 5th edition, but god damn it, challenge rating is back. I hate that and will always ignore it, and fuck you. Monsters have proficiency bonuses now. There's some cool things like a legendary action that some monsters get, where it basically allows them to take actions on other people's turns, which emulates the elite and solo monsters from 4th edition, which is an awesome concept. 3rd edition was designed around the concept of 4 adventurers fighting 1 monster. 4th edition was designed around the concept of as many adventurers as you had, 4, 5, 6, however many you had, versus that number of monsters. And it was awesome, because then you could have monsters that were designed to be solo, which it basically made them the equivalent of 4 monsters or 5 monsters or so. And was awesome in that it made these fights against solo creatures feel powerful. And if you had an, what were they called? Epic? No, elites. If you had an elite monster on the field, which basically took the place of 2 monsters, he felt like a badass surrounded by other lower level guys, and was a fantastic system. And the legendary actions that 5th edition has allows for similar traits, where a solo creature would have to be able to attack multiple times or multiple targets basically every round. It had to be the equivalent of 4 monsters, so it had to attack multiple times, or something to that effect. And that's what legendary actions allow. And that's basically it. There are lair actions as well that some creatures have available to them, like the aboleth here. If you fight it in its lair, it has these cool effects that it can do on initiative count 20. And it can do one of these actions, and it's actually pretty darn awesome having the lair be factored into the account if you want it. So that's awesome. But one of the things that annoys me about the fact that this edition went back to 3rd edition mentality is that we lost the monster roles. I loved that in 4th edition, they gave each monster a role to allow you to have a varied combat. Like, every combat in 4th edition was unique, and it wasn't just 4 goblins. You weren't fighting 4 goblins in 4th edition. You were fighting 2 goblin warriors, a crossbowman, and a leader, or something to that effect. So the fight felt dynamic, and they got rid of that for some reason. Now, I asked about that on the Wizards of the Coast forums, and basically was told that I was an idiot because you can just do that on the fly. I don't want to have to do that on the fly. I don't want to have prep time to make the monsters I need. I want the monster manual to have a various supply of goblins that I can use easily. I want to have my demons here. I'll have different traits that are easily identifiable for me as a DM when I'm building an encounter, saying, this guy would be good with these guys, and have a number of these. It's made my job as a DM more difficult by removing the rolls from monsters, and I'm annoyed by that. They did definitely do good in condensing the stat blocks down for all the creatures. And they give lots of information on a number of the creatures, so that's kind of cool. But the stat blocks, they have them nice and concise and give you what you need to know to run them very easily. So they definitely took that 4th edition concept and were good with it. They also introduced the concept of variance, which I love as well, which is kind of similar to what I was just talking about with the rolls, but not really as much. It's basically saying you can take this, in this example, you can take this Bone Devil, and you can give him a multi-attack, and give him a hooked pole arm, and just customize him a little bit. In a previous version of the game, in the beta of the 5th edition, I actually threw some lizards that I took some variant rules on and gave them amphibious, let them stick to walls, and it made them different than other lizards. And I liked that. So I love the variant concept. I do love how much art is in this book. The art in this book is pretty damn awesome to me. And we're now into the dragons. What else can I say about this? Basically, there is one thing that I'm always annoyed with with monster manuals in general. Not specifically about 5th edition monster manual, but about monster manuals in general. I often like having mundane enemies, like bandits and human villain groups that are antagonistic. So having all these monsters, while awesome, I would love a book full of, here's a whole bunch of different humans that you can throw at your creature, or variant rules to turn them into elves, or whatnot. A list of more mundane foes. And I would buy that book in a heartbeat, because that's what I really need, is a list of levels 1 through 20 adventure antagonists for my types of games. Brain shut down for a moment. And that was surprising for me to see. The Flump. Flump? I never could figure out how you pronounce that. Basically, this was a monster in 2nd edition. Never was brought to 3rd or 4th edition. Well, probably wasn't in the first monster manual or 2 or so. And is a silly, silly looking thing that is lawful good, which I don't really know why they put lawful good creatures in the monster manual. That's one thing 4th edition did that I kind of don't disapprove of, is that they included it only the monsters that you really fight. Anyway, back to the Flump. There was a comic strip called The Order of the Stick, and if you haven't read it, go on Google and search it. It's a hilarious, originally 3rd edition based webcomic. And very well written and very funny. And they make fun of the Flump, and the Flump becomes a ongoing joke. So I suspect its reemergence in the Monster Manual 1 for 5th edition is probably playing along with that joke. Because I had never heard of the creature until that comic introduced me to me. Lots of cool art in these. They also have lots and lots of background information. Like, they build the setting of D&D, which kind of sucks if I'm going to ignore most of it or parts of it. Like, I love making my own settings, so having 3 pages about how the hells are arranged, if I'm just going to end up ignoring it, seemed a little wasteful to me. I can understand why they did it. And I've seen interviews where they talk about how they made 4th edition too generic, or maybe 3rd edition too generic. One of the previous editions too generic. But I like the generic aspect of it. Granted, at the same time, I'm going to be hypocritical and say that I didn't dislike what I was reading as well. Spoiler, I actually haven't finished reading all of this. I generally don't read the monster manual unless I need to. But for this, I've actually been enjoying what I've been reading, so I actually am up to the dragon entry for the most part. But they give lots of background stuff, like especially on the devils and demons and such. That was interesting information that I'm probably going to ignore, because I want to develop my own hells and hierarchy and all that fun stuff. Like specifically their archdevils and archdemons. I'm probably going to toss those guys out because I want to make my own. I do kind of like how they changed the look of what I imagine most of the things to look like. Like the goblin looked interesting. The hobgoblin here looks kind of interesting. Looks kind of almost oriental lion guy. Looks cool. Homunculus looks really cool, actually. I hated how the homunculus looked in 3rd edition. Keeping in mind that I could always just, say it looked like something else. But that guy looks kind of cute. Aww. So, lots of cool monsters in this guy. I love Intellect Devourers. By the way, a Hydra would be great for an all-you-can-eat buffet. Just saying. Overall, I'm rather pleased with the monster manual. I'm annoyed that it's taken this long to come out after the player's handbook came out, because again, they're releasing these one a month for the first 3. And that kind of seems dumb to me. They should have released all 3 at the same time. But I'm liking the monster manual. I'm looking forward to getting the DMG to see how they actually expect me to build encounters, if there's actual rules for using an XP budget versus using the challenge rating system, which currently the the basic rules are available for free on Wizards of the Coast website. I think that's probably dnd.com or something like that. So if you want to play D&D, go ahead and head there and you can actually play the game for free. Forgot to mention that in the Player's Handbook video. But you won't get as many options, and the bestiary is not nearly as robust as this. And in there, they tell you that how you build encounters is basically with challenge ratings, and I do this to that. Not to the mummy. I do this to the challenge ratings. These guys look so weird and awesome to me. I should totally build a adventure on those guys. See, that's what the DMG is good for, is inspiring creativity in me, at least. Because, I've looked through the demons, and I'm like, oh, I should totally have a demonic invasion or something. So, I like that. But yeah, I'm liking 5th edition quite a bit. It is, like I said in the Player's Handbook impressions video, it takes good aspects of everything and continues on with it. So, skipping to the end here, after the monster statistics, we get miscellaneous creatures, which kind of sucks. I will say this. I love 4th edition's monster manual for its condensing the stuff down. Like a boar here. There probably is a dire boar on the next page, or earlier in the chapter. Yep. Well, okay, wolf. Dire wolf. I know in 4th edition, they had an entry called Wolf, and under Wolf, you would have Dire Wolf, Death Dog, Winter Wolf. It would organize them based on that, and that was a fantastic way to organize them, because I don't need to remember the specific type of thing. I just need to remember the basic type of what it is. I loved that organization, so I'm sad to see it go away. So, in typical selfish fashion, I'm going to say my way was right, and they should have done everything that I wanted them to do. Like, giant beetle. Why not put that with another giant fire beetle, specifically? Why not put that with another beetle, other insects and such? Makes it easier for me to see that type of thing. That category of monster. And then, the next appendix is non-player characters, which is basically the book that I was mentioning that I would love to have earlier, whereas humanoid villains like humans and elves and dwarves, you got archmages and assassins and bandits, but unfortunately this section is far too brief for my tastes and needs. And again, I would love a 4th edition-ified role system for villains, for NPCs. And an index of stat blocks, so you can find your monsters more easily, and that's basically it. So, I've waxed and waned long enough, ranted and raved. That's my impressions of the 5th edition Monster Manual. What do you guys think of it? How do you think of the art? What do you think of the challenge ratings return? Let me guys know.